The programming for women is 10 times worse than the programming for men at the moment. It's hard to meet a person who's truly awake and thinking for themselves. Poor bot, poor NPC. This had the truth about Red Pill, what to expect on the path to understanding. Interesting.
I'm Dr. Orion Taraban, and this is Psych Hacks, Better Living Through Psychology. And the topic of today's short talk is the truth about the red pill. So I think it's about time that I made this episode. I think it's an important one, and I hope that you will listen through to the very end. First of all, I think it will be helpful to define what I mean by the red pill for the purposes of this conversation, because the term can mean a lot of different things to a lot of different folks. My working definition of the red pill is a set of knowledge and know-how that facilitates the construction of a worldview that pertains to men's place in society and to intersexual dynamics in particular. It's red pill in that this worldview deviates in significant ways from the dominant social narratives about those topics. I don't think that the red pill is equivalent to male feminism, and I definitely don't see the red pill as anti-woman. In fact, I believe that many of the understandings in that knowledge set can and do substantially benefit women, in that they can enable women to have much more satisfying relationships with the men of their choosing. So that's my working definition of the red pill.
I agree with that one. It's a really good one.
And what I'd like to suggest is that taking the red pill is something like a spiritual journey, inasmuch as once the scales have dropped from your eyes and you come to perceive and recognize and understand some of the truths about intersexual dynamics and the way relationships actually function, you're no longer the same person you once were.
Yes, and women benefit from this because you turn males into men. You're better equipped to lead a woman. You understand a woman more. You understand nature, the nature of females, and your own nature as a man. That makes you better equipped to lead a family. It benefits everybody in society for you to wake up to the truth.
Just like Saul was blinded by the light on the road to Damascus, and was so transformed by the experience that he even changed his name, so taking the red pill can be an evolution on par with a spiritual transformation. And within this framework, I think it's important to keep in mind two spiritual teachings which can meaningfully inform men's use of the red pill. Let's get right into it. The first teaching is kind of a joke about enlightenment. And the joke goes like this: enlightenment? Better not start. Having started, better finish. Let's break this down, because I think that this joke contains a powerful truth that is very applicable to the red pill. So why might it be better for some people to not start the process towards enlightenment? I mean, is there a better goal that we can aspire to? How could this be a bad thing? Again, the answer here has to do with the fact by the time you even make some meaningful progress toward the goal of enlightenment, you are no longer the person you were when you began your journey. Pursuing enlightenment will require a complete transformation of your personality, psychology, lifestyle, and relationships. In short, to embark on the process of enlightenment is to lose everything. Everything you once knew, anyway. So, that's a very high cost, and it might be better for some people to know that price tag is very high before they get into it. And why is this? Because if you start the process but don't finish it,
What's interesting is, so someone in the chat wrote, where was it? Jesus was the original red pill guy. I don't know where I saw this. If somebody can link it in an email. They're saying at the end of the Roman Empire, when Christianity surfaced, that was their version of woke. That was the final death throw of the Roman Empire. Wokeness for them was Christianity rising. Very interesting take. I need to read that deeper. But it's interesting to see, because from our point of view, what we consider woke today, this new ideology, this new religion that's being pushed on us, is coming at the end of the American Empire, just like Christianity came near the end of the Roman Empire. Interesting, yeah? Because our perception is of our current reality today and how we've seen history through our lens that we're living, but through the history and the lens of a ancient Roman and their day-to-day, and Christianity rising as the new religion, the new, quote, cult for them. Think about it. It's very interesting, man, to draw that parallel. I want to read up more on that. So if somebody knows what I'm talking about, please link that.
In many respects, you will be worse off than if you had never started to begin with. Because what happens when you make some progress towards enlightenment? Well, let's say that you become increasingly dissatisfied with the world. You begin to see through the heedless pursuit of money and fame and status and sex, and may even renounce them entirely. However, because you haven't yet arrived at full enlightenment, and you don't yet have anything better to replace it with, maybe you've given up the bad, but you haven't yet fully replaced it with the good. What's more, you've just given up a lot of the things that make life pleasant and enjoyable without having yet arrived at real joy or true understanding. This means that, with respect to enlightenment, it kind of gets worse before it gets better. And if you're not committed to going all the way to the end, then you might end up stopping at the halfway point between who you used to be and who you might become, which is kind of the least functional place to stop. So that's why there's this admonition to better finish if you start. And I think this really holds true for the red pill.
I think that's what black pillars are. They're guys that are stuck in the middle and never take in the quote tenets that lead to the full enlightenment, like bettering yourself, self-improvement, etc. All the tenets red pill says to escape the quote matrix. Black pillars just accept the matrix. They become that guy that likes that the stake is fake. He'd rather be in the system that way. There's no change for him. He's externalized all his problems. My Chad jawline, bro, I'm failing. Okay, so, Cal, Superman, thanks, brother. This is where this goes sideways. 80% of men will not reproduce. Oh, this is mind candy. Stay on topic. Thanks, brother. Appreciate you for the 100, man. You're a maniac.
Because I think if you're going to take the red pill, you have to completely swallow it.
Yeah.
Otherwise, don't put it in your mouth. If you swallow it halfway, it's kind of like it gets stuck in your throat.
Someone wrote, it took enlightenment to take us out of the dark ages of medieval Christianity. Yeah, think about that. We had the dark ages where we weren't really progressing. Was it woke? Interesting, man. That stuff is so interesting.
A lot of the guys I hear talking online today, it sounds like the red pill is stuck in their throat. It's an aggravating, sputtering irritant. They're basically choking on the pill because they haven't yet fully swallowed it, which in this metaphor means that they haven't yet fully integrated the knowledge set into their worldview. Now, before I go any further, if you're liking what you're hearing, then please consider sending this episode to someone who might benefit from its message. It's word of mouth referrals like that really help to make the channel grow. And if you're interested in going to grad school, be sure to check out my top-rated GRE self-study program at stellargre.com. You can use the coupon code PSYCH for 10% off all membership plans. Now, how do you know if you've fully integrated the red pill? It's very simple. You know that you've fully integrated the red pill when you are no longer upset by the truths that it reveals.
Which is not black pillars because they're nihilists and have a doomer view on society and the world and themselves, and that they can't change, and that it's pointless to even try, and that they'll fail regardless of what they do. Yeah, that's somebody who hasn't swallowed the pill. It's stuck in their throat, and they're choking themselves with it. Mike, thanks, brother. I was raised by my father and grandfather and learning carpentry, plumbing, and welding. The values I was taught was 1940s and 50s values. Now 31, experiencing women, world in the West, we are done.
Where there is anger, there is not yet understanding. And the ultimate goal of the red pill is understanding. Not an intellectual understanding.
Yeah, when you fully internalized, quote, the red pill, women don't bother you anymore. You're not angry. You're not tuning in to see them get shit on by creators. You're just, you feel sad for them that they go down these routes, that they've been sold the lie of sexual empowerment. You're just watching your fellow man and woman, right? The blue pill men and the blue pill women get absolutely destroyed by the narrative. You're seeing victims. That's what you're really seeing. When I see these women talking about their boss babes and all this shit and men ain't shit, I'm watching a victim. I'm watching somebody that got sold a lie. They're going down a path that could be read like a book, chapter by chapter. A lot of men that watch go, yeah, and she's going to hit the wall, and then she's going to be lonely and buy a cat and shit. It's that easily read. You're watching them go down the same exact path women before her went, that she can't see, barreling towards a wall, has no idea it's coming. I have sympathy for them, man. I'm watching a bot destroy itself because they haven't awoken yet. I think I see potential in every human being. A lot of the men here were bots at one point. That's the truth. And you were awoken. You're awake now. Something happened to you. Someone had a bad experience. Something got divorced, got wrecked in court, got your heart broken. Whatever it was, man, a lot of people here had to wake up. I think it's the same for women. A lot of them are asleep at the wheel, buying into what the mainstream media is pushing down their throat at the moment. They're being indoctrinated real hard. Dude, the programming for women is 10 times worse than the programming for men at the moment. Mainstream media pushes women empowerment, all this stuff. Mainstream media, not only media, music. Look at female rappers. Look at, what else is there? TV. Look at Netflix. Wherever direction, clothing brands, makeup brand, everywhere you look pushes a narrative on all of us, but especially women. It's wild, man.
That can rattle off a host of statistics or esoteric terms or sex-based injustices.
Yeah, just remember when you see this stuff, if deep in your heart you see like Western women compilations and they're saying all this, like, I'm the table. What do you bring? I want $1 million man. If you feel like, I can't wait until she hits the wall, stupid, you're still deep in the programming. You haven't internalized the pill just yet. You should look at her like, you moron. You're headed for the wall. Society has got your brain cooked. You're gonna die alone. The path you're on, all that anger, all that is manifesting from the internal, like, the dichotomy you feel of society telling you to be strong, independent, but you internalizing your femininity, like you want to be feminine, you want to be led by a man, you want a real man in your life, but society tells you no. We're watching your downfall. We're watching that conflict inside bubbling up to the surface. You're a victim.
But a deep emotional understanding that is predicated on an acceptance of reality. Reality is what it is, no more, no less.
Mm-hmm.
Getting angry at reality indicates a lack of acceptance about reality.
Nailed it.
And it is our work to conform our understanding to reality, not to work to conform reality to what our intellectual understanding.
Yeah, hate, revenge, anger towards women, all that stuff, that's you not internalizing the pill. That's them living rent-free in your head still. That's pain. You're still feeling pain from whatever set you on this course. Once you internalize all this stuff, dude, you just watch and you laugh and you shake your head and you go, poor victim, poor bot, poor NPC. You're headed towards something that you haven't woken up from and you don't see the path you're on. It's unfortunate for you. Hopefully you can wake up in time. You don't force people to wake up. Right? Just like the movie, you can't force a guy early to wake up that's deep in the shit, man. It just has to happen. Somebody has to be ready to receive the information. I've had so many, quote, blue pill friends that are deep in the sauce, and the moment you sprinkle a little truth here and there, they get angry at you. They lash out at you. They call you crazy. And then just wait for them to get into a rough breakup with their exes or whatever. And that's it. And then they'll be like, oh man, you were right. Or you'll get that other woman that was crying in the video before. Oh my God, I got sold a lie. You know, things like that. People will wake up when they hit their own, quote, rock bottom. Reality slaps them in the face. Ryan, one of my best friends is blue pilled. I keep trying to wake him up. You don't try to wake him up, dude. It's not until they're ready. He just pushes back when I talk in generalities because he claims that he hasn't seen or experienced my examples. Yeah, you can't force somebody. You can't force information down their throat.
Ending believes it should be. So if you're going to take the red pill, make sure it doesn't get stuck in your throat. Because what's the alternative? I mean, you can't really spit it back up. Mm-hmm. It's already been in your system. And that means you can't unsee what you've seen under its influence. And choking on the pill sucks. Men who do so are like those who quit halfway into enlightenment. They completely renounce women and sometimes society at large. But they don't really have anything better to replace it with yet. Now, this might very well be an inevitable stage in the process toward true understanding and integration, but if so, it is definitely a stage in that process. It is not the end goal. So if you're still angry after a while and you can't spit that pill back up, your only real choice is to keep swallowing until it's deep in your belly, where you can finally digest it and eventually integrate it into who you are. And you'll know you've done this when you're no longer angry and you begin to navigate the world of relationships more successfully than you used to. And this leads us to the second spiritual teaching applicable to the red pill. Maybe you've heard it before. It's before enlightenment, chop wood, carry water.
Mhm.
After enlightenment, chop wood, carry water. What does that mean? Well, among other things,
James, I've been learning to accept that the psychological warfare against women is what corrupted them and that it is not their true nature. That's real See, that's called being awake. You're seeing the bigger picture instead of blaming women. Men who blame women are still working on swallowing the pill, as if you think the woman next door or the one that maybe degraded you, disrespected you, said no to you on a date, has any power whatsoever on the system. She's just another bot, programmed. She's a human that's been programmed by the system, told what to think and how to act. This is why it's super important when I tell you guys the most important thing to do when you meet somebody or you're prospecting for a good choice in marriage, self-awareness is number one. Number two, discipline. You need to find somebody with self-awareness first. And then Neil McCoy, thanks, brother. The replacement he mentioned should be leaving the West or going to live in a cabin in Montana.
things, I think it suggests the paradoxical truth that once you arrive at the point of enlightenment, everything is completely different, and yet nothing may have changed. It's a weird paradox and difficult to put into words, but it kind of makes sense if you think about it. If you arrive at a higher...
Yeah, so this reminds me of something super interesting. I saw this guy, he had a skit on a guy that as he climbs up in body count, his thought process on dating and women changes. So a guy that's like at one body count, still a bit blue pill, whatever. Then you get to like 10, and then he's like, I'm disgusted with myself. I'm an animal. What am I doing? And then at like 20 plus, whatever, he's like, yeah, it's just people being people. And then by the time he's at like 50, 100 plus, he's like, it's just women exhibiting their nature, right? This is their biological process. There's no morality in this. There's no good or bad. Something like that. What's funny is that a lot of the guys I've spoken to and me myself, like as you climb up, you start to, what could you say, understand or not be as angry or not judge as much because you get a deeper understanding of removing the morality out of, quote, sex. Because if you're a guy and you sleep with a girl and she tells you a crazy story and your body count's not that high, you may be disgusted. But once you get higher up, you start to see like, most people behave in a pattern. People do the same thing over and over again. And you start to learn why they act the way they do, AKA the programming from society at large is why most people behave how they behave. So then you start to take the morality out because it's not even people making their own choices. They're asleep at the wheel being told what to do. Think about a kid in high school being told he has to go to college to make something of himself. He has to graduate and get a bachelor's degree. And then there will be a job lined up for you. That's how most people are living their lives. Most people don't even know who they really are. Most people have no time to even think for themselves. They're stuck in the daily grind of just surviving, paycheck to paycheck. Gotta work, gotta do this, gotta go to school, gotta graduate, gotta find somebody, gotta get married, gotta have fun, gotta sleep around. Why? Because that's what I'm hearing on TV, on radio, on social media, everywhere. Hardly, man. It's hard to meet a person who's truly awake and thinking for themselves. You start to understand this, like the more and more people you see in the dating pool, the more and more you'll realize, wow, dude, there's a lot of people asleep at the wheel right now. There's a lot of people just going through life being told what to do. And every once in a while, you may meet someone that's awake. So then the morality comes off. You no longer think she has a 15 body count. That's a whore. She hates men. Oh my God, blah, blah, blah. You just think, unfortunately for you, all the decisions, a lot of the bad ones you've made, all these crazy stories, is because somebody else planted them in their head. You didn't even think for yourself. Or your single girlfriends pushed you into it, peer pressure, because that's what they got sold. They got sold the same BS you did. And now they may feel bad about the decisions they made. So crabs in a bucket. You do it too, girlfriend. Hey, bro, let's go out and get faded and sleep with a ton of women. Let's go do it. Yeah. It's most people falling prey to probably one of these scenarios. And it's sad, dude. It really is. Once you see all this, you'll, quote, swallow it fully. And it doesn't affect you emotionally anymore. You're just shaking your head at your fellow man and woman and going, man, I hope you guys catch this on quick before you wake up 50 and you're like, I wish I'd known this when I was 20. I've read so many comments and emails like that of men saying, I wish I'd known this earlier. I didn't learn this until I was 40. I didn't learn this until I was 50 and got divorced. 60.
Their level of awareness, then the whole world changes because you yourself have changed, despite nothing being objectively different. So what does this have to do with the red pill? Well, just like your blue pill beta simp days were probably characterized by relationships with women, eventually your red pill alpha king days will probably be characterized by relationships with women.
Yep.
Everything is completely different, and yet nothing has changed. And this is because, excepting a very small minority of men, women are going to be a part of our lives in one way or another. And when fully integrated, the red pill allows men to have fulfilling relationships with women in a way that makes sense for the particular individuals involved. Women are not the enemy, and they are not to be feared or hated.
Or hated, yeah. It's the system. We should all be turning our attention to the system and the politicians that push it on us, that have broken the nuclear family, that sold out the nuclear family for profit so that corporations can siphon your entire life from cradle to the grave, extract every penny in value from you at the expense of your own happiness. They make money on your misery. They make money keeping you emotionally locked in on anger, on rage, on sadness, on depression. This is how they make money off us both, men and women. This is what the game is. This is the reality. It's not women are so dumb or men ain't shit. No, it's the corporations, it's the government that are extracting more and more money, more and more control, more and more freedoms from us. That's what the game is, boys and girls. Once you wake up to this fact, you start looking at it all completely different. SD, thanks. So difficult to deal with a breakup when the ease of attracting the opposite sex is so one-sided between men and women. It'll take me months again. And take your time, bro. Self-improve, go to the gym, work on yourself, heal mentally, and jump back in when you're ready. It's not a rush. Your mental happiness matters more than jumping back into a relationship. What she does after you break up is irrelevant. And this is an example of you not swallowing the pill. You says, so difficult to deal with a breakup when the ease of attracting the opposite sex is so one-sided. So she basically has another branch she swung on. Another dude is already hitting her up. Shouldn't even matter to you. You broke up already. Leave her ass in the dust. Check her off psychologically and start mending the wounds and healing. You're not going to heal until you realize it's irrelevant. She left.
Or shunned. These emotional responses indicate a lack of acceptance and understanding. That said, I'm also not saying that men should just get over it. Many men have been significantly harmed by women, and working through their trauma is going to be an essential stage of their journey. And I'm not saying that the end result is supposed to look like men and women holding hands and singing Kumbaya. For many men, it is entirely appropriate not to return to the relationships they once had. What I am saying is women aren't going anywhere. And the vast majority of men will continue to relate to women in some form or another after they swallow the red pill. Understanding women and intersexual dynamics more generally is kind of like finally reading the rule book to a game you have little choice but to play. Imagine all the fouls and the injuries and the violations that can accrue by playing a game if you don't know the rules. However, knowing the rules will not only keep you safer, but should realistically inform your strategies when playing the game. So I hope I haven't alienated my audience with this episode, but you might as well know where I stand sooner as opposed to later. I am not anti-woman, despite having many opportunities in my personal story to become so. I've worked to heal my trauma. I've integrated my understanding into a comprehensive worldview, and I enjoy fulfilling, effortless relationships with women. And I wish the same for all the other men out there. A long episode, but an important one. What do you think? Does this fit with your own experience? Let me know in the comments.
Yep, spot on. That's Psych Hacks. Again, we've been covering his stuff since he had like 20,000 subs, man. He's growing in the past like month or two. So show him love. He's very level-headed, has a more academic background. I keep saying love his channel. It's a voice that's needed from all the weirdos that are only dogging women all day and they look disheveled and look like shit or trying to sell you some how to text a woman for $50, some crazy shit like that, dude. It's a breath of fresh air to get the psychological standpoint. That's rooted in a bit of academia. Yes.